What is going on, guys? Macabespeed back at you again. Different kind of video for you guys today. Hey NATO, hey good dog, good dog. Today we're going to be taking a look at the ticket magnet. Now the ticket magnet, let's see how long I can ignore this. Let's make a thing of this, guys. How long can I ignore this without fucking being totally, absolutely annoyed? Today we're going to take a look at the ticket magnet. The ticket magnet is a 1987 Volvo 760 turbo intercooler. Now that might not sound like much to some of you. To the people that like Volvos, this car is somewhere in the middle to upper range of collectability. It's not your standard 740, but it's not that two-door 780 either. It does, however, have that intermediate year block, which is like somewhat stronger than the skinny rod motor, but not quite as strong as the 90 plus motors. So it's pretty reliable, even if we were to turn the boost up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys, and see where it currently sits in my garage. We are actively on track to get this car back on the road and get it back into a driving condition so that I can kind of enjoy it once again. It's been over a year this car's been off the road, and it's kind of disappointing, to be perfectly honest with you. I had this car up to a nice level of tune. As you guys probably saw in those initial clips, I had some nice wheels on it. Those wheels have long since been sold, so let's kind of, let's see if we can bring the ticket magnet back to its former glory, guys. Without any further ado, let's get into it and see where we stand. Alright guys, so as you saw in the previous clips, the valve cover has been powder coated, the oil cap has been powder coated, even though it's got this little dimple, and I feel like an imperfect valve cover perfectly fits an imperfect car and an imperfect builder like to a T, so I just went ahead and ran with that. Powder coated fuel rail, stock fuel injectors, good harness. This return line will be out of the way right here once we go ahead and get our fuel pressure regulator. This fuel pressure regulator is missing currently because I just don't have one. I previously had one and it was bad and I never got around to replacing it. Intake manifold is also powder coated. This is wrinkle black. The wrinkle black matches the intercooler piping. I got new silicone fittings for both of the joints there, both the 90-degree fitting and the straight fitting that connects to the intercooler. Aluminum radiator. Transmission lines are already on. It's kind of a dim light, I know, sorry, sucks, but lower transmission lines on as well. Alright guys, I figured what I would go ahead and do today is try and get the radiator and the intercooler 100% buttoned up. If I can get the radiator and the intercooler, I think my neighbor is starting the drag car. That's sick. Alright, well if I can get the intercooler and radiator buttoned up today, that'll be able to put me in a position where I could actually start to think about filling that gaping hole on the exhaust side with that turbo manifold and turbocharger that's actually missing from this car. I need to go to Pick and Pull and get a unit for this car. I've sold a lot of stuff on eBay over the last 2 years, just, from necessity, from different things, funneling money into other projects, funneling money into my air guns. I kind of move my stuff around and kind of sell it off here and there, and then turned it into other hobbies as I go. But on this one, I ended up selling the turbo and manifold because it needed a rebuild anyways, and I was looking for a stock unit to pass smog with. Now down here, this whole area right here is what's going to be occupied by the turbocharger and manifold. This is our oil feed line. It kind of comes down on top of the turbo right here. You can see the downpipe down there that kind of lifts up and it'll catch the turbo outlet on the back side of the turbo housing itself. Manifold bolts up really straightforward across these studs that are right here. There's 8 total bolts holding the manifold on, plus 1 bracket on the bottom, and then 3 bolts on the turbo outlet, and then obviously oil feed and coolant lines as well. But other than that, it's really basic to do one of these turbo swaps. I'd say total time invested, if you had all the gaskets, all the shit that you needed to do it with you right there in front of you, and some 13mm wrenches and sockets, 3 hours total time turbo swap running to running. So it's not like an impossible task to change your turbo in a weekend, guys. Little background, this is a 2.3 liter motor. So 2.3 liter isn't that great of a displacement in the grand scheme of things, but the turbocharger does make it feel like a larger motor. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's like, oh, it's ungodly fast. You've never felt power until you felt a Volvo. But it's a torquey little ride for what it is. Honestly, when it's turned up to between 10 and 13 pounds of boost, even on a stock intercooler and turbo, it feels pretty torquey. And our radiator time-lapse footage starts right now. Alright guys, so with this final clamp here, we're going to be able to go ahead and button up what was left on the radiator and intercooler to get that ready to fire off. The only major hurdle that we really have left in front of us at this point is going to be that turbocharger and manifold associated with the turbocharger that we don't yet have. I have left to do the alternator belt, the power steering belt on the other side, the turbo and manifold that goes there and hooks up to this little outlet pipe here, and just a few other little knickknacks across the bay. But ultimately we're pretty close to being able to consider this build fairly complete. Everything is pretty much in running order except for, like I said, fuel pressure regulator, turbo and manifold, and a little bit of plumbing, guys. Alright guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more Volvo content, make sure you subscribe for more with that notifications button so you can stay current on what we got going on the channel, as well as what's coming up as far as the giveaways and the live streams are concerned. If you really like this video, make sure you share it so that somebody else can see it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.